Intelligence is becoming an integral feature in nearly every system we use. And the defense sector is no exception. It's gaining some of the most cutting-edge capabilities. But that also raises, Annabelle, major concerns, especially over ethical application of the technology.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, these worries include potentially lethal decisions that are being made without human involvement, privacy violations around surveillance and data security as well. And even as these concerns are being debated, AI is already at the center of this new arms race as well. You've got the two global superpowers at the forefront, and that is China versus the US. As armed conflicts become more frequent around the world, AI is increasingly present on the battlefield. From surveillance and intelligence gathering to autonomous weapons systems. Anthropic's dispute with the Pentagon over guardrails for its systems has brought the debate about military use of AI further into the open. The race to dominate AI defense tech largely pits the United States against China, though each has a different strategy for winning. The States takes a market-driven partnership approach to working with defence contractors like Lockheed Martin and Raytheon, as well as tech firms like Palantir and, until recently, Anthropic. China, on the other hand, follows a so-called Military Civil Fusion Strategy, or MCF. It's a core national policy overseen by President Xi Jinping, with a goal to develop the PLA into a world-class army by 2049. Beijing wants to break down the barriers between its civilian economy and its defense industrial base. The Pentagon says many of China's technological achievements in areas like aviation, drones and chips are designed with military uses in mind from day one. For the US, taking Anthropic's highly priced technology out of its military hands complicates its strategy to compete against China in AI-driven warfare. The question is, how do both sides manage the transition from AI as a support tool to a technology with a bigger role in decision-making?
Bloomberg reporter covering tech and national security, Katrina Manson, joins us now. She's just released her book called Project Maven, a Marine Colonel, his team, and the Dawn of AI Warfare, which explores the U.S. development of AI-driven warfare and examines how it's reshaping the balance between the U.S. and China. Katrina, great to have you with us. So we think of artificial intelligence war as something of the future, but it's actually happening right now. Tell us a little bit about how we're seeing this development, especially within the U.S. military.
At the moment, the US military forces running operations against Iran are publicly saying they're using a variety of advanced AI tools to prosecute their operations. That's to crunch data, bringing work down that normally took days or hours down to mere seconds. And also, I've been told by the spokesperson of Central Command, to help generate so-called points of interest. That's everything short of a target, but means things like elevation, location, and what precisely is there. So we can definitely see that in these operations, AI is happening.
What is different, though, do you think, in the sense that the US military has already been embedding different AI technologies for decades? Why do you think it's being sped up, and what are the ramifications of that as well?
This speaks to a long-term concern of the US as it emerged from its so-called GWOT, the Global War on Terror, and began to assess that China had been studying America's weak points on the military front for 10 years. And in 2017, the US starts this effort known as Project Maven, which I explore in my book, to develop AI and put it into the battlefield. This is about fearing that the US is falling behind on advanced technology and that China is able to speed up. It's very much undertaken with the possibility that the US and China may one day face off in a war, and that decisions may be made at lightning speed, faster than humans can think or react.
And the problem is that artificial intelligence is not perfect, at least not yet. What are the risks around some of those fat finger mistakes as well when you also bring in a human into the loop?
Yes, I find out that in some of the early cases of algorithmic development, computer vision algorithms really were not up to scratch. They couldn't function in different terrains, between snow, desert, and greenery, for example, and they couldn't identify things like a weapon which can take up only 3 pixels on an image. So relying on this technology clearly is fraught, but it was, of course, developmental. Things have improved, but I'm told that still, of course, given the research that AI can escalate when turning to a large language model or generative AI and asking it a question, it can also tend to agree. So if there is this concern that AI will lead the US and others who use it towards the direction of further conflict.
Yeah, that's what I wanted to ask about, because many people are familiar with Clausewitz, his idea of the fog of war, and just talking about the general level of uncertainty. Do you think that with AI technologies and the more than 200 people that you spoke to write this book, do we see an increase in the fog of war, or does AI actually manage to decrease it?
There are 2 parts to this. For the people really advocating for this technology, they hoped that battlefield information delivered in real time that could do things as simple and also as hard as identify where the enemy is, where US forces are, could help protect US forces, stave off civilian casualties, and enable faster reaction speeds on the battlefield. But the flip side is that AI can go wrong. It's an unpredictable system. It's black box technology. And in many cases, the US is asking operators to begin to use it under the hood. So suggestions are surfaced, and a US operator must decide whether to accept or reject it. For now, a human is very much making those decisions, but there is an intention to speed up warfare so much that things may ultimately become automated.
Yeah, and Katrina, you mentioned, of course, a rivalry between the U.S. and China, and the U.S. potentially feeling that they don't want to fall behind in this technology, fueling the speed here. Where are we at right now?
Well, I think the US assessments are classified, but my understanding is that when it comes to facial recognition, the US feels very much behind where China is. Where it comes to actually integrating military algorithms into systems, digital systems, and practicing with it, I think the US may feel confident that it has the edge, but is in a state of paranoia, concerned that it needs to keep developing. And adoption has been a real cultural challenge for the US within the military. All throughout the period of the 10 years I show in the book so far, the team trying to introduce AI has encountered problems, not only from those in wider society who are terrified about what AI will do to the business of war and to the future of human security, but also within the Pentagon. This team was fighting often its notion of what Pentagon bureaucrats were doing to slow them down, and even themselves. There was dissent about whether to work with Palantir, a huge company now in the defense tech space that has partly made its fortune through Maven Smart System, or whether to go another way and really concentrate on delivering top data to algorithms that could sit on drones.